So number 5 is asking, let's look at question 5. Yes, this is 5 here. It's asking us if f of x is 3x minus 1 and f of negative 1 x are inverse functions of each other, what is f of negative 1, or the inverse function of 8? So it's saying here, or what is f of negative 1 at 8? So here's number 5. It's asking if f of x equals 3x minus 1, and we have f of negative 1 of x here. This is the inverse function. You can think of this as an inverse function. F of negative 1 just means that it's the inverse function of f of x here. And it's asking us, what is f of negative 1 evaluated at 8, right? It's asking us, what is this value here? Let me write this nicer here. Sorry, this is 8 here. Equals what value here? So first, what we have to do is we have to find what the inverse function is, right? We have f of x here equals 3x minus 1, or you can rewrite here. You can rewrite f of x as y here equals 3x minus 1, right? So the moment we write y here equals 3x minus 1, what we're going to, in order for us to inverse the function, what we're going to have to do is just switch x and y, right? So switching x and y will give me the inverse, right? Will give me inverse. So let's do that. If I flip it, I would get x on this side here and be 3y minus 1, right? So this here would be, if I flipped both my variables together, and this here would be the inverse function of my of f of negative 1, and all I'm gonna have to do is rearrange for y, right? I'm gonna algebraically rearrange for y here. So if I want to move, I want to basically isolate this y value here, so I'm gonna move negative 1 to the other side, so I'm gonna add 1 to both sides. I'll have x plus 1 here equals 3y, and then what I could do is I could divide everything by 3 in order for me to get y by itself, right? So I'm gonna have y here equals x plus 1, and it's gonna divide it. It'll be, sorry, x plus 1, and then it'll be divided by everything by 3 here. So this here is my inverse function, or you can say this here is, which equals f of negative 1 of x, right? Of x here. And what we want to know is, what is f of negative 1 at 8, right? So if I know that this here is my inverse function, so if I can rewrite this as f of negative 1 of x equals x plus 1 over 3. And what I can do is I can plug in my 8 value here, right? F of negative 1 at 8, which simply equals 8 plus 1 over 3, which is simply just 9 over 3. 8 plus 1 here is 9, which 9 divided by 3 here is simply 3. So I can say that f of negative 1 at 8 equals 3. And this here is my final answer for this question. And as you can see, f of negative 1, they did the exact same thing. 9 over 3 equals 3 is the required answer here. So the solution here is correct. And what they did is they actually did the exact same thing, right? They set y here equals 3x minus 1, and they flipped it to y here equals x plus 1 divided by 3 here. So the solution here is correct. Good analysis.